Hello everyone and welcome to our first Pantheon Rise of the Fallen video. This is going to be a video series where I just talk about all the different things going on with Pantheon as it continues to develop and eventually release, hopefully within the next year or so. If you are unaware of what Pantheon is, this will be the perfect video series for you. Pantheon is an MMO from the original developers of EverQuest and other games. They made Vanguard. There's a bunch of people on the team from a variety of MMOs. And they're looking to recapture the challenge, depth, and social experience that existed in old school MMOs, while still melding them into a modern game with modern graphics as well as new exciting features and mechanics. That's a lot of developer speak. Basically, from what they've talked about on both on their website, in their live streams, interviews, stuff like that, is that they feel that MMOs are no longer social games. They're very like solo heavy. You go from quest hub to quest hub to quest hub to your max level, and then you do the end game content, and that's it. They're trying to get away from that. The original EverQuest was very group central. You could not get from level 1 to level 60, which was the max level at the time, without grouping. It just was not possible. They're trying to make you have to group up again, and I think that's fantastic. That's what I've kind of been missing from games like EverQuest. So they're trying to take that idea and put it with bringing in new features, new mechanics, modern graphics, have it be a real competitor. There are some games, you can find them on Steam. Project Gorgon is one of the more popular ones now, that kind of have that feel. It's more like an open worldy thing. You're not going quest hub to quest hub. You're not the ultimate hero of everything. That you could be playing right now if you really wanted to, but they look like the original EverQuest. They're going to make a modern game using modern technology to bring back that original MMO feeling. So a couple things that I want to point out in this first video. This is just an overview video, okay? We're going to talk about a couple of different things that they bring up through a variety of sources. I've done a lot of research on them. But this will be very broad, okay? From after this video, there will be a video every week for probably until the game launches, because there's so much content to go through and so many things I want to talk about. In my head right now, I'm thinking we'll do a lore episode and then a mechanic episode, and just stagger them back and forth for months. So every week. I'm not sure what day that'll be on, but I'm sure it'll be in the description somewhere below. So let's talk about just a general overview of Pantheon right now, okay? So in the game, there are 14 classes and 9 races. We're probably going to spend a whole video talking about each class, a whole video talking about each race. So the races are the Archai, the Dwarves, the Dark Mirror, Ogres, Humans, Halflings, Elves, Gnomes, and Scar. And then the classes are the Cleric, Paladin, Warrior, Dire Lord, Ranger, Rogue, Monk, Summoner, Enchanter, Wizard, Druid, Shaman. Those are all the classes and races. So it's a very big game. I believe every race, their plan is for every race to have a starting city, like their home city, similar to how EverQuest did it, where if you were a Dark Elf, you started in the Dark Elf City. Actually, back in the day, you started outside the Dark Elf City, and you had to get lost in that maze. So it's already got a lot. You already start with 9 cities, 9 races, and then 14 classes to go with it. Now, they are also taking the old school mentality of not every race can play every class. There's a big chart they put out once they announced all the different classes and stuff. For example, you cannot be a dwarf ranger. Necromancers, you'd have to be a dark mirror, a human, a gnome, or a scar. That's it. Only dwarves and humans can be paladins. If you want to be a certain class, you have to match it with the race that will do it. And I think that makes sense based on lore. It doesn't make sense to have a dark mirror paladin when dark mirrors are kind of this evil race type thing. So, a couple things that they've mentioned. This is not a casual game. This game is meant to be hardcore and challenging. That's a quote from, I believe, their FAQ. Okay, it is meant to be hardcore and challenging, not a casual game. They repeatedly mention that this game is meant for hardcore MMO players who are looking for another challenge, looking for a social game. So if you are trying to just play casually, I'm sure there's still things for you to do, but you will have to be grouping. They said that there's solo content and there's raiding content, but those are secondary to the grouping content. Okay? The game requires cooperation. They use the word requires. Requires cooperation. You will not be able to play the whole game by yourself. There's certain content that you have to have groups for, and most of the content you will have to work with others. That may scare some of you. That makes me very excited, and that's the reason. That's what inspired this whole video series in the first place. So they've also got a bunch of new systems. The list is too long to name, but that'll be the stuff we go through every other week. Stuff like colored mana, living codex. There's a perception system where you have a perception skill, and if yours is better than your friends, you will see stuff in the distance. You will get these quests that only exist to you because of something you saw. Whereas your friend will be like, what are you talking about, bro? That's not there. Kind of cool. There's a progeny system, which there's not much detail about that I know of yet. I'm still going to do some more research on it. But from what they've said is that if you want to retire your character, you can. And you can start a new one with their offspring. And they can kind of carry the torch. I don't know what that's going to involve. I don't know if it's like permadeath type thing. I don't know. We'll get there. So again, it's another focus on massively multiplayer online RPG. That's what MMO stands for. They want you playing with other people. They will have the Holy Trinity +1. So it's a holy quadrilogy. I don't know what the word is. So the Holy Trinity is tank, healer, DPS. So you're going to have probably a warrior with a shield trying to hold aggro and everything. You're going to have a cleric or somebody healing you. And you're going to have a DPS character. Mage, wizard, rangers, rogue, stuff like that. Plus, you will have utility characters. These are characters like from the original EverQuest, stuff like enchanters. Things that focus on heavy crowd control. The enchanter in the original EverQuest could mesmerize 20 targets at a time at higher levels, so that if someone pulled a big wave of mobs, they could mesmerize the ones that they don't want to fight yet and just pick them off one by one. They also include things like the old school EverQuest like Monk, where they're good at pulling. They're good at getting just one pull at a time. So you're not pulling all these waves. So if you don't have an enchanter, but you have something like a monk or ranger or something who's good at pulling, you can pull one mob at a time and not have to worry about having crowd control to peel away. There's a heavy emphasis on death having consequences. They want it to be meaningful when you die. So again, back to old school MMOs. I remember playing EverQuest, losing whole levels where you have to like relearn spells and stuff. They're going back to that. So there's gonna be a heavy penalty for dying, and you have to go get your body back. It's not like other more modern MMOs where you just respawn a little far. You have a longer walk because you respawn probably back wherever you're from, but you already have your stuff. In this game, from what I hear from like the pre-alpha streams they've already shown, there are definitely corpse runs. You will have to help. People will have to help you get a corpse. If you die in a dungeon, you're going to need help probably getting it back because you're not going to have stuff. So death will have consequences. They want the player levels to be meaningful and memorable. To me, that says that there will be a slower leveling process than more modern MMOs. So again, like I was saying with the hell levels, it will take you a lot longer to level from 1 to 60 than it would in like World of Warcraft, Rift, Neverwinter, the more modern MMOs that have come out. I remember I played Rift and I was max level in like a week, and I didn't even play as much as you think. So that's not going to be happening in Pantheon. It's going to be, every level is going to matter. You're going to remember it. They do say that the first like 5 to 10 levels will go pretty quickly because they want to give you a taste of what the game is. They've also said that those first 10 levels, 5 to 10 levels, nothing for sure yet, those first 5 to 10 levels are going to be free. They're going to have that's going to be their free trial. So if you want to try the game out, see if you like it, you play the first 5 to 10 levels for free. And then if you like it, you buy a copy, you get complete game. They even said it won't be very restricted either. You won't be restricted on equipment and bag slots and stuff like that. So even if I don't sell you on the game from this video or any of my future videos, you can always try it out for free. But after that, they did say after that 10th level that the pace of your leveling will slow down. You'll have to really learn the process. They even mentioned that if you were to get like power leveled or find some sort of exploit or bug in the game so that you can quickly get to max level, if you get there that quickly, you will not be ready for end-game content because you won't have the skills, you won't have the equipment, stuff like that. You won't know how to play your character. I remember, again, back to the original EverQuest, I was trying to get power leveled. I had a brand new character, and the guy, my buddy who got me into it, was a much higher level. And I was like, hey, can you just power level me up? And he was like, no, dude, you don't want to do that, because if you do that, you will be the worst ranger in the world. Because back in those older MMOs, you had skills you had to learn. Okay, like EverQuest, if you use a sword, you got better at one-hand slashing. If you use a two-handed sword, you got better at two-hand slashing. If you had a hammer, you got better at one-handed blunt or two-handed blunt. By using it. If you were getting power leveled where you're not really using it, you are not going to be skilled enough to use the higher-end equipment and hit things. So that's where there's no real reward for power leveling. Sure, you can power through a couple levels, but that's what grouping is for. Grouping is there to help you level faster. Okay, it was always the best feeling in the world when you had a full group of people. You could take on all kinds of things. Usually there was some sort of group experience bonus if you had a full group. It really promoted you to group with people. So they want player levels to be meaningful, as well as, and this is a quote here, when you get that epic item or rare drop after an incredible dungeon crawl, we want you to be in awe of what you've accomplished and the reward that came from it. Items will be memorable, deserved, cherished, and desired. Again, this goes back to a slower progression grind. You will not just go from, oh, guy with exclamation points going to give you a sword, and then 5 exclamation points later, you get another sword, and it's 10 damage better. 5 guys later, another sword. Okay, they're not going to do that. In fact, they've said there's not going to be quest hubs. So you're going to have to go in these dungeon, you're going to have to find a rare drop, and you're going to be like, holy shit, I have the best weapon in the 10 level range. People are going to love me. That's another old school feeling that I remember from back in the day. I can remember names of items still, and that was 20 years ago that dropped for me in EverQuest. They did talk about the progression of weapons and equipment. So when you start off, you're going to have basic leather tunic, iron short sword, stuff like that. And it won't be magical. It won't have many stats on it. It'll just be, it stops you from getting stabbed in the back, and you can hit things. Then as you get more levels, you will start to get better equipment. You'll start hitting those magical items as the game goes along. But you will start with the basics of the basics and then work your way up to it, which is also cool. And to finish out this conversation, I probably should have started with this part of the conversation. The most important thing, I think, to me and to most people who are sick of MMOs is that they have said that there will be no cash shop, and it will not be quote-unquote freemium. Okay, you know how when you can play for free, but if you pay, you get better stuff quicker and all that stuff. They're not doing any of that. You're not going to be able to buy anything in game. The only thing they are doing is you can pledge to the game right now, and if you pay enough, you can get access to the game right now. I believe it's like $1,000 for pre-alpha access, which is what they're in right now. But with that, you also get like a mount. You get to rename an item every once in a while. You get cosmetic stuff for pledging right now. There will not be a cash shop in the game, though. What they have said on how they're going to monetize it is they're undecided so far, but it's going to be between a sub model, which is what like World of Warcraft, EverQuest, Rift did it for a little while. A lot of games don't do it anymore because they're scared. And it hasn't. World of Warcraft is the exception to the rule, where subscriptions come into play. They've also talked about the idea of buying the game for a set price, like a regular $60 game or whatever, and then you would have to buy modules or mini expansions, stuff like that as you go along. They haven't decided yet. I am totally okay with both of those. If it's a game that is going to hold my attention, I'm going to quote unquote live in, I'll pay $15 a month for that. As it is right now, because there are no games that are holding my attention like that, I'm spending more than that a week on new games that I'm trying to get myself into, or single player games where you play what, $60 and then you're done with it in a couple hours. It's fine. I'm okay with that too, but I'm okay paying $15 a month or whatever their monthly fee is to play a game for years. And it sounds like they're going to have the content to do it. Okay, so that's our broad overview of Pantheon Rise of the Fallen. If you are interested in all in the game, I suggest you go to their website. There's pledges on there. I'll put the link in the description. If you're wondering why you should listen to me talk about it, I go by Coach Brown. Like I mentioned before, I played EverQuest for, God, it must have been 8 years. I've gone back to it a couple times when they announced like progression servers and stuff, so I have a lot of experience with an old school MMO like that. I also stream on Twitch pretty regularly. It's almost daily. I'll put a link to that in the description below. There's a lot of links. I'm sure I'll forget some, so leave a comment if you want to remind me. And I just love games like this. I love hardcore MMOs that want you to group. It's something I've been asking for a long time, is that grouping experience, because that's what was great about early MMOs. Sure, it sucked if you had to like sit there and spam level 21 Ranger LFG until somebody loved you. But when you got in that group, I made friends. I still have friends today from just random LFGs in Frontier Mountains in EverQuest. So I'm really looking forward to that experience again. So yeah, expect a video on Pantheon once a week. Some will be longer than others. This will probably be one of the shorter ones because it's just a broad overview. So thanks to everybody for watching. Please hit the subscribe button. I would appreciate it so you can get notified every time I put up a video. Also follow me on Twitch, Twitter, all that fun stuff. All those links are in the description. Thank you.